Going live. You're alive. Cool. Good day, everybody. Welcome to the live stream where we don't do nothing. Meh. Kidding. Today we're gonna see if I can get into Ngrx-data. Let's kill this job quick. oops, wait, how does one install this? Let's do that. I'm still focusing and learning and see that there's lag and all the things. So Ngrx-data. Here we go. Ngrx-data. Ngrx-data is an extension and offers a gentle introduction to Ngrx by simplifying management of entity data or reducing the amount of explicitness. Okay. Key concepts. All the yummy stuff. How does one install? One does not simply install. Nah. Installation. Let's do this. And go. It is so weird to see the stuff lag on the live thing. But here we go. Here we go. Let's edit. Implementing Ngrx-data. Public, save. Dum. Concurrent viewers, just one. That's me. Okay. Let's forget about that for a second. Ngserve. Aye. Ta-dum. And it's up. Okay. So, let's have a look at Ngrx-data. So, the main thing about Ngrx-data is that it is there, or with Ngrx for that matter, is the fact that you need to actually start managing state in your applications, especially if it starts to get a bit messy, managing the data going from one section to another. So that's what I started looking at this week, and you know what they say, the best way to learn is by doing. So today we're gonna see if I can get any resemblance of an entity or anything done like that in the open source project that I have, which is basically a budgeting solution. So let's see if I can quickly log in here with my credentials, and I can get into here, and this is basically what we have currently. It's this budget view, and we have all these transactions, and I can show cleared transactions. I was implementing a small matched view, but yes, it's not feature complete in certain sections, and that's fine. For today, we try and attack managing state. It also might be a good exercise for me with regards to getting it out and working with certain types of state management things. So, plan of attack. I have not planned this live session, as you might notice, but that's okay. We are here to learn, and learn we shall. So that's the budget service. This is the budget view. Architecturally, it's not the best way of doing this, but this is how I initially structured it, and I have not gone through the whole process of moving it into the correct way or anything like that. So the simplest thing that we can start with is the transactions, and we have a transaction component module component. We have our HTML, and we have our service and the transaction routing module, which for all intents and purposes is actually not very useful, seeing as not all the routes and everything has been commented out. But that's not what we're working on now. We are now working on transaction component, the component list for the transactions. We are using data source, which is used by this data table here, and that is the what's that thing called again? It is material table, using the data source. I must say, reading this now, after I actually know what these things mean and how it works, is a whole lot different when I started learning Angular and implementing these things. I actually know now what a behavior subject is, and transaction services, and all those yummy funny things, what these things do, how they connect, disconnect, everything. It's different looking at code that you've written quite a while back and looking at it after you actually know what it's doing, and then realizing that there's still things that you do not know and things that you can vastly improve upon, which we will be trying to do right now. Okay, so I think the first place and the best place to start would be on the initialization, making sure that we have the budget and we have the transactions that we can use, and see if we can convert that to actually get the transactions from Ngrx-data using the Ngrx workflow. So let's have a quick read, shall we? So the first thing that we need to do and focus. Many applications have substantial domain models with hundreds, tens or hundreds of entity types. Such applications typically create blah blah blah. From what I saw, the main Ngrx workflow is a yonks lot worse than, or more boilerplate intensive than what we are going to try and do today. If I can get one thing that pulls through and works from here, then I will be very happy with these things. So let's create this file, copy, and then we say entity metadata. So now where to put this? Store model, FX module, all those yummy stuff. Entity data services, injectable, using Ngrx components. Okay, so this is where we want to get. We want to get to this place, but we're not there now. So we need to define the entities. And if we look at the current data structure, there's no clear form of anything where it should go. Maybe in the shared. Shared looks always fun to me. And what's that thing again? Entity. What's it? Entity metadata. Yes. And then we get into this space and we say paste. And then we have a transaction. And we have nothing else. We just want to get transactions. Transaction, and we do not have this, so we can clear this. Yes. Yeah. Entity metadata. Get that out, and there we get Ngrx-data. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Then we need registering the entity store. Once the entity is created, you need to root into config and for root. Now the question is, do you think that we need to include the effects and the store module as well as the default DataService config and all those yummy stuffs? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. As you can see, it's not the most beautiful of things implemented, but we'll get there. Store module. Dot. No actions. That's sad. All the sadness. Import. Store module from at Ngrx. It is Ngrx-data, yes. Nope. Ngrx store. Sorry. So did I not do this right. So I need to install, I apologize, I need to install the actual Ngrx sections as well. Installation, so let's do that. Apologies. So kill this process. While that guy's busy, let's go to the next one that we saw. It is this one. Just when you think you know what you're not doing. So it's always fun, you know, playing with these things, making sure that it's not working correctly or whatever the thing might be. So that's done. Okay, so now we go and we paste that one and go effects. That's cool. Overview. These two are coming from those, so that's fine. So we can add store module, effects module, and entity data module, which will be the next couple of stages. Okay, seems like that one's done. Okay, so let's try this again. Store module dot for root. Awesome, it's working. Okay, so let's add it again. Okay, so it's for object for the store one, and then it's effects, yes, effects and entity. Effects module dot for root, and then entity data module dot for root entity config, which we will be adding shortly. See if it can. Nope, wrong key. Yes, we want that one. Dip. I do enjoy me some Visual Studio Code. Okay, so that's done. Cool. Let's see if it bolts, shall we? Ngserve. Compiling. Huh. Okay. Import dictionary from cannot find module entity. Okay, so it looks like we need to install the entity one as well. Even though we are not really told to set it up, it is seemingly a dependency of Ngrx-data. There we go. Have you ever actually looked at something and then just think, what am I thinking of doing here? I mean, hey, compiled successfully. Cool. So we've created that. We have added those. Now we need to look at the EuroService. Just a moment. So to create a EuroService, we import the entity service. For that, we import the hero from core, and with the super. Okay, so now we need to look at the transaction service, because we're adding it to transactions. And injectable class provided in root. So that's done. And now we extend. Do you think it should be a class or an object or an interface? Yeah, are interfaces allowed in this? What do you think? Think we can try it? Okay, we can import that. This should change to I transaction. The constructor. Oh my sugar ray Leonard. So this is not gonna work, is it? Service elements factory. Let's try that. What's that thing it mind about? Okay. Constructors for derived classes must contain a super call. So let's add super, and there we have transaction, and that is from a service elements factory. Huh. Didn't break that much. Save. Let's see how far it wonked out. Let's have a look, say, shall we? And what? Still works. No, that can be right. Let's reload this. Still works. Cool. Now seeing as it is working, let's have a look. Using Ngrx-data to access entity data, component should inject entity data services. So it's already injecting it, that's fine. And then we get EuroService entities. Okay. So EuroService entities. So on the transactions component, load transactions, transaction service, which is injected here, and we do it here, and we say if I'm reading this wrong, which I am. Oh, I mean right. Oh, what? Say what? So if we do something like this, but just for load transactions, and it next transactions. So we need not that one, that one, that one. We need this dot transaction service dot get get all, get transactions. That's the thing I implemented. Get by key, get all. How do you like that? Should work. So if we say, okay, here we load the transactions, right? It is something that is run from this thing, and if I look at this thing, the data source is the data source here. Where's the data source? Well, it seems to be subscribing to this thing. Connect, disconnect, and then we load transactions with it. Data source. Unfiltered, clear toggle. Load. So where's the data source coming from? Data source. There we go. Load transactions. Okay, so that's the extension method. Okay, now I see what I tried to do here. It is weird looking at stuff that you think you did and then you didn't do, and it's just weird. So you have to pass in the service profile. Okay. So all transactions. I'm trying to think if this is the right space. Let's have a quick look. So get heroes. You think that's the... Then add hero, hero service add, delete. So these are seemingly basic Ngrx stuff that's already there. So I'm gonna do something very, very not smart, and see what works, what doesn't work. Close that. close that, and that, that. Close all these things. Yeah, it was very productive with regards to this. So basically did it. Problem with doing it like this is it's gonna cause issues. So let's just kill this major one for now and see what happens. Ah, see. Transaction service. Did you mean get transaction? No, my kind sir. I meant get... What's this? Oh. Okay. Get all. iTransaction, entity selector, get all options, entity action options, and it returns the observable. Okay. So this doesn't work because we need correlation error, blah, skip that. Wow, this is if you do not know what you're doing, this will break you. I can guarantee you that much. So let's save that. Compiled successfully, and it loads nothing. DataService error. API transactions. What's this? Cannot get API transactions. So what's this API transactions? How does this thing function? Reason? Reason. I need reason. So store dev tools. What's this? What's this? Getting started. Key concepts. Yeah. So yeah. Ngrx-data. Architecture. Entity data service. Get all, get body, get with query, update, empty by default, data service. Okay, so here's what we need. Provide a custom when running a demo app locally. The server may respond more quickly than it will in production. You can simulate real. Okay, that's not relevant. So, C configuration. Configure the default data service. The collection level data services, Constructor and or else for HTTP calls. Okay, that's fine. Most property root. Returns the root for everywhere. Okay, if you're you can protocol domain blah 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 blah. Sorry. Apologies. I'm still very, how do you say, enamored by learning and streaming. So provided in such as the entity store model and the sample application, custom entity data service. This looks a lot more how do you say explained. This is the entity store. This is more what we want, yes? Yes, I think so. Looks like it. That's why we're getting the can't load API transactions, because you know what? It can't find API transactions. But here's the thing. I think it is something to do with the store a default data service makes REST-like calls to the web service API with Angular's HTTP client. And that's awesome. Configure default data service. That's not, I don't think that's what we're gonna use. A custom entity data service. Well, Ngrx data. For example, you may need to modify and fetch to convert strings to data, added actions, properties. Yeah, custom data. We'll create a EuroDataService class that implements the entity collection data service interface. That's awesome. Constructor. See, this is basically what we're going to need, because we don't necessarily use the default data service. We use Angular Firestore for our data stuff. So yeah, this doesn't. Where? Advanced. Nope. Overview. You'll see me. I'm always like reading, then going back, and reading again, and then 5 minutes later I'll go back and I'll read again. See here, the EuroService just extends the entity data service, but the way that it does it here is different. We use the entity collection service, which get euros, add, delete euro, update. This EuroService Sorry, I'm quieting down now. Just want to check. So what we're trying to do, let's just see. I think I was on the right trail earlier. Entity map, that's fine. I think the thing is, we would need a custom data store, DataService. Because because we're using Angular Firestore, the default one seemingly uses HTTP client safely, and that's not something that we necessarily want. So I would actually think that we really need a custom entity data service. So to illustrate, sample adds, data loaded, property to the hero, Okay, that's fine. To support this fixture, we will create a hero data service class that implements entity collection data service. Some hero data from in order to leverage space functionality, it only overrides what it really needs. In our case, it will basically need to override everything, as here it maps the hero, but I think this is actually what we need, because we don't use the see, we need to register the service. So we will definitely need a custom data service for these things. So let's start by adding a transaction data service that extends the default data service and see where we get from there. They store it where? So they create a store and they say entity, so let's try and follow that same kind of structural logic. So we have store, and we have new folder for entity, and then we go hero data service, and in our case it would be a new file, which is transaction data service.ts. Am I correct? Yes, seemingly. So our code copied, and we say paste. We change this one, and we change this one to iTransaction, and it pulls it in correctly. So this is still iTransaction. Transaction. A lot of changing of the things. Transaction to and here transaction, and it returns transaction, which is not part of this. That's just a thingy. So this is not correct, as we do not use the HTTP client nor the HTTP URL generator. We just use the Angular file store. So what I'm going to do is, if I can close this, I'm going to split this one to the right and see where we are with this. Okay. Let's check that one out. Yeah, sorry. Like I said, I'm still learning streaming, and I'm interested in looking and seeing and stuff. So we are using these. We're using that one, and we add it here, and we say import, if you please, kind sir. Firestore. Looks good. Oh, where did that one go from? Firestore. That one is from Firestore. Awesome. Okay. Then we say get transactions. It's not correct. We actually want to pull this whole thing customally. Where we do not say, but we do need a reservable of our transactions, and this one does return bollocks. It returns one with transaction ID because reasons. It's not gonna match, is it? So let me just quickly see here. Transaction ID. What's the difference? Extends fine. I'm gonna basically copy this and copy, and then comment this out for now, and then do that, and this should get all. See it. See now what this looks like. Misplace opening brace. Gee toon man. Do you want it there? Yeah, you want it there. Fine. See, this budget ID is basically the identifier used because it uses the user login. So the budget ID is something that's set globally. So my thinking, if I had thinking, is to do this. So this is see, that's the thing about Firestore. It just returns the. If you do normal get, you do not get the ID unless you specifically pull it, get it back in. See, so yeah, it does not work. This map hero. See, all the red lines. So we can move that across and out of the way. This one is just the transaction ID. Tip 2, and this map 0. Okay. Let's just quickly Control F, Control H, replace with transaction, and we replace. It's fine. We'll rename the method as well. Okay. Change that one. Now we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's all on the same line, so that's cool. See, there's filter passed in by the previous one as well, where get all. So this will most probably be a more suited query or thing to happen here. So where it says get with query, and then the params can have an object where it would have a filter for the counter clear to See, now I'm better architecturing my application as well. It's always good to learn new things. Always good. How long have going for almost an hour. We'll cut it at an hour, leave it in the state that it is, and then we'll see. Maybe we get back to this at another point, because the get transactions still work. I would actually, like having the budget parameter set, because if you technically look at the way that Firestore is structured, the transactions, accounts, categories are all sub collections of the main budget collection. It's just the way that I structured the database. So it will always need at least this as a base. So maybe there's a better way for me to do this, but for now I think it is something that's gonna have to let's move. You see, if it's something like this, this collection thing will not exist. So if it's just for the plain, so we say this. Okay, no wait. Move all these things away. Sometimes copy, and we copy that one out again. That's fine. And we paste that, and it should return. So what we can say is then params dot. We can change filter to params. Replace that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Here at the get all, it will not exist. Okay. Undo. Cut. Paste. Hi. This can then go. This DB collection argument for path was not provided, so this will be transref. And it will return everything, and it does some funky date manipulation, making sure the date strings and everything is fine, and the data amount is worked out, and I don't think that we're gonna use the query params, because it's not really, but I do like the fact that it's an object, so we can actually just say that. We can have a query filter interface set up at a later stage. This code duplication we'll look at a later stage. For now, I just really want to get this thing actually working via this service on the other side there. So we will be using the get with query, adding in the params, where the params contain a budget, a cleared account, and a category ID, if it's required, of course. And then we will see what we can do with it. Entity, so the apps store, in the apps entity store module. You see, entity store module. So, getting started, seeing as we have a custom entity store, let's see what is required. Actually might have needed to work with that one. So we're back to the store. Key concepts, installation, on the installation page. Let's see. The app module, there's the store module, app module, store module for root count reducer. It's not something that we're using or it's not that, for something that's advertised as being simple to implement. This is not, well, simple is, I suppose. What simple? I think. See, here's the get all that we need to override. And then data service. Get entities that satisfy the query, and then register data services. You can add custom data services to it, but one of two ways: registering a single data service by the register service method. Have a look at that. Register several data services. Service map the default data service. Configuring the data service. Then entity such as in the sample application. Do you think we need to have a look at the sample application? So, we will be creating this module. Open that one up, adding the store, and we say plus, and then we say entity store. What? Entity store dot module. Module.ts, and then we go and we say copy, and then we go back and we say paste. I have no idea what this imports thing does, so let's do that, because I have no idea. Cannot find. Well, import it then, shall we? That's what we're doing. We're not importing that. Well, we can remove that then, and we can say that we are importing the transaction data service. Is that not saved? There we go. Maybe that's fine. How do I add the entity store module? Now I just need to add it to the main app. The sample app provides, okay, so I need to go look at the sample app to see where the entity store module has been added. So let's go to GitHub, the entity data service, register services. That's all fine and dandy. That's the Ngrx platform. Platform Ngrx IO store builds, entity builds, FX example app. It's archived 2014. So if you had to think, where to look for Ngrx preview builds. No. Source app access app module. Let's have a look. There's the store module, router module, provide store. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for now, and then we'll see where I can actually start tagging in again. Is it really as simple as just going and saying entity store module, copy, where's the app module, and then say save. Wrong. Ah, what was that? Oh, disconnected. You disconnected? Oh. And then we say, what's that thing? Budget ID, which is where? That's this dot budget ID, and we do a check for clear. Okay, let's save. Then we go back. Check that error now. Ha! There's a nice debugging tool that I want to actually also try. Has been added. The icon will be visible. Okay, cool. So let's go here, and it's not there. And let's reload. See? Nope. To the left. State, nothing. Oh, that's a letdown. Created the custom one. Cool. So it's been created. We are using the custom one. So that means that I can rip out this get transactions method from there to there and say Chario, and that should still function. What's this error that it cannot find transaction service? Let's have a look. Oh, this one. Yeah. How am I gonna solve that? I don't know. I have no idea. But this is working. And it's working correctly. So that means that we are actually using the data. Ah, that's so cool. Awesome. So I think we'll leave it there. Let's see how many changes have we made. Let's just clean up. You can't see squishy code. Close all the things. So let's have a look. We are still doing this, using and creating the profile and passing the data source with the transaction service only after we have the active budget set, so we can provide the budget. That's cool. Other changes that, oh yeah, we changed the get transactions method to actually to use the get with query method from the entity collection services, and it is returning a transaction for us, and it seemingly works, and we put the results which is of transaction, and we're putting it back to the next of the transaction data source, which is updating the behavior subject, which is in turn updating the front. So that's cool. And then the transaction service, yes, we deleted a bunch of code. That is cool. We added the provided in root, which is cool. We extended the collection service, and we also service elements. It's a very basic implementation, but it does actually seem to be functioning as expected. We created a new data service, customized the default one, so it actually we can actually start using it. There's still an issue though with regards to the budget ID. So for now, I think that we will not do a get all method. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna return an empty way until I can actually, so we're going to say return of as transaction ID, and then we can just import the of. That doesn't work. So we do this as transaction ID, that, and there we go. Okay, so it's an empty array of empty, so that's fine. So we can actually, there's no errors now popping up. Feel better internally about doing that, doing it like that. We have registered our custom service, DataService, which is the entity store. We have created a entity meta map. We have added all the things to the application. We have installed all the latest items, and the package.json log file is also there. Cool. I think that we have implemented Ngrx-data. And that's a feature. Next time, if there is a next time, I hope there will be. It's kind of fun talking through how I think about things and talking through it, so maybe it's something that I'll start doing more consistently. But the more I learn, the more I understand it, the more things that we can start playing around with, doing it better. You know, every time we look at a piece of code, if we can make it better, that's always a good thing, in my mind anyway. So yes, that's it for me. Just gonna commit this, not on master. We'll create a new branch where we say feature add Ngrx-data, and we create it from master, and we commit on to the branch. We push, and then we'll do the merge request and the whole flow thing to master. Anyway, that's it from me. Definitely was fun and interesting implementing this. As you can see, it's not that difficult to do. It's about an hour, 20 minutes to get something that's mind-boggling quite quickly into the app. Now we can start actually using that throughout the whole system and manage state in a very consistent fashion. Anyway, have a great one. See you all guys later. Cheers.